Hello, Sunnyside. The good Lord certainly knows how to get our attention. And believe you me, he has it now. I'll deal more with that in a bit. Check to see if your student loan debt can be canceled. That is, if you took out a loan to attend a for-profit school. Many of the schools closed, leaving the students with the debt that still needed to be paid and not receiving the services that they had signed up for. So again, look into that now because there has been a reversal on some of those actions. LA County Department of Parks and Recreation, they have a spring grab and go. It's a drive-through giveaway at a park that very well may be near you. In this drive-through, they have outdoor activity kits that are available, again, for children. They have kites, might have a flying disc, a bug jar, butterfly catcher, and some other things. You'll also have a spring pre-filled eggs so that you can have your own egg hunt. There will be a coloring book so that you can enter an art contest along with some food supplies. In order to participate, you must register online. Go to bit.ly/spring grab and go. That is bit.ly/spring grab and go. You must wear your mask. It is one per car, per vehicle, and there are absolutely no walk-ups. Hirings. The ones I'm going to mention, I'm just going to mention two. One is Costco Wholesale Corp. Costco Wholesale Corporation. Look that up. I understand Costco is hiring. LAUSD, the school district, LAUSD is looking for some 1,500 workers at $15 an hour plus benefits. Now, that's something you should look into as soon as possible. That's LAUSD, some 1,500 workers at $15 an hour. African American males who are seniors in high school, if you have a 3.5 GPA, grade point average, and you'd like to become a dentist or a doctor, I'm going to repeat that. African American males, seniors in high school with a grade point average of 3.5, and you'd like to become a doctor or a dentist, do contact Aday Lamar. That's A-D-A-I, Aday Lamar at KJLH Radio. That's 102.3. And ask about the possibilities. This is scholarships that's being offered through Tennessee State. And this is a 7-year program as opposed to an 8-year program. But again, pass the word along just in case you know someone who just might qualify. And then do contact Aday Lamar at KJLH Radio. Do that as soon as possible. Be conscious of frauds and scams, and don't be so generous with your personal information. Guard against sharing your Social Security number with really anyone at this time. If you feel that too many questions are being asked, then what you should do is ask them, give me your telephone number and I'll get back to you. And when you go to get back, before you go to get back with them, check out aarp.org/fraudwatch. aarp.org/fraudwatch. A member of Sunnyside called me this past week, and she followed through and was able to get some information about that. I mentioned last week that there were some members of Sunnyside who joined back in the 20th century, okay? And I said this week I was going to share the members of Sunnyside who joined in the 1970s. So I did look through the roster for 2017 and 2021, and I came across some names, and I'm going to share them with you at this time. At the same time, there were some names that did not have a received date by their name. So if I don't call your name and you know you joined in the 70s, you might want to do some follow-up yourself. Okay, those that I have listed that are still active at Sunnyside now, from the 1970s, Evangelist Veresia Bell, Sister Cadet Cleveland, Sister Della Love, Sister Kathy McElroy, Sister Shirley Mitchell, Sister Carolyn Newton, Sister Annie Fildyard, Sister Emma Vaughn, Sister Carrie Robinson, and Brother Willie Phillips. Okay? So those are the old schoolers here at Sunnyside who've been a member since the 1970s. Now, if you know you are still a member of Sunnyside and I didn't call your name, perhaps that received year may not be listed. So you may want to do some follow-up on that. But at the same time, every name that I actually listed, these are people who've really been actively participating in the activities here at Sunnyside. So we'd like to thank you for your continued support. Okay, do know that this is still Women's History Month. And I was wondering, should I mention this here or at the end? And I decided, no, I better come on and mention it now. God, again, is still in control, and he continues even through this pandemic. The good Lord continues to open our eyes and pull back layers of things that are happening so that he can expose some of the ugliness, some of the evil, some of the insensitivity, some of the hatred that's experienced by various minority cultures here in the United States. This past week, some 8 people in Atlanta were killed, pointing out the 150% spike in crimes in the Asian American community since the coronavirus was started, and since it was called the China virus or the Wuhan virus. 6 of the 8 killed were Asian Americans. Our present president and vice president were in the area just on yesterday talking about the situation nationally. Do know that Asian Americans, when you hear that term, you're referring to some 48 different countries. They have offered tremendous contributions to our nation. Historically, do take the time and look up internment camps, World War II. Look up the Chinese Exclusion Act. Check out our American railroad system. Look up the Golden Spike. Again, our country is made up of any number of minority groups to come up with one whole. As I looked online last night, I saw something that my son had posted, and it said 38,000 gun deaths a year in the United States. Who needs gun control? At the same time, 2 cases of voter fraud in 2020. In 43 states, there are efforts to pass 253 new voter suppression laws. Do we have it twisted? Just food for thought. Call 211. That's a confidential tip line. Just be aware. Again, our hearts go out to all of those families, to the cultures and all that are experiencing American history on an ongoing basis. Deb Haaland began her work as Interior Secretary to preserve our public lands, to combat the climate crisis, to advocate for indigenous rights, and create a clean energy future for all. Deb Haaland is the first ever Native American Cabinet Secretary. She is Secretary of the Interior. How unique that a Native American gets to be the Secretary of our lands. Okay. Do know, the Senate did confirm Marcia Fudge as the Secretary of Hurd, that is, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. She is the first woman since 1979 to hold that office. She is a former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and she was voted in on a 66-34 vote in the Senate. She's from the state of Ohio. Again, Marcia Fudge, HUD Secretary. The Congressional Black Caucus PAC said, do you know that the American Rescue Plan provides survival checks, enhanced unemployment insurance, and child benefits to over 100 million Americans? I'm going to repeat that. It provides survival checks, enhanced unemployment insurance, and child benefits to over 100 million Americans. It passed by a single vote in the Senate. Just be aware. Do we have it twisted? This is the sixth, number 6. This is the sixth recall against Governor Newsom since 2019. This is only 2021. The previous 5 were unsuccessful. The cost of a special election runs roughly $100 million. Some 14 elected African American officials serving in federal, state, county, and city government levels, they joined in support of Governor in a Zoom meeting on this past Monday. The U.S. Congresswoman Karen Bass said, "Mark my words, if this recall does qualify, we will crush it because we will be united. We will not fall for a trick." Karen Bass was re-elected in November of 2020 to her 6th term representing the 37th District of Southern California. She's a member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and she's also the chair of the Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, and Global Human Rights. In addition, she serves on the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Terrorism, where she is actively working to craft sound policing and criminal justice reform policies. Karen Bass. California's highest-ranking black official, U.S. Congresswoman Barbara Lee from California 13, said, "There is no reason to recall the governor of the state of California." Now, I mentioned Barbara Lee's name last week, and I said I wasn't sure whether or not that was state or local, okay, if that was state or federal. Lee represents the 13th District of Northern California. She was first elected in 1998, and she is currently the only African American woman in Democratic leadership serving as co-chair of the Policy and Steering Committee. Also, she serves on the Budget Committee and the Powerful Appropriations Committee, which oversees all federal government spending. In January 2021, she became the first African American to chair the House Appropriations Subcommittee on State, Foreign Operations, and Related Programs. Again, I wasn't sure, now I know. The information I'm quoting is from the LA Sentinel. Do check with the Sentinel for current information. Again, my uncle told me before his passing that my sermons are too long, so I'm going to cut this down. And I'm going to close out with something that I read in the LA Times. Okay, do listen, and I will let you know who this article is from. When I was 14, we lived next door to a Japanese American family. The oldest son, who was my age, told me his mother's story from World War II. She was in her hometown of Hiroshima we call it sometimes, the day that the atomic bomb was dropped on the city. After the air raid siren sounded, the people sought protection at the nearest bomb shelter. Someone opened the door and said, "There are only 3 American planes over the city, and it is just a reconnaissance mission." Many left the shelter, but my neighbor's mother waited for the all-clear signal. Every person who left the shelter died. Meanwhile, the people of Great Britain were in their 6th year of war. They endured regular bombings, rationing, and years without classroom instructions for 6 years. Now, in the United States, we just passed the anniversary of COVID-19 being declared a national emergency. Americans have come to blows and worse over mask requirements, wearing a mask. Every day, the demands to open schools, restaurants, theaters, and bars grow. We are so tired after 1 year. We are close to beating this thing. And as President Biden has said, everyone must do their part. Don't be the last one to die. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and wait for the all-clear signal. And as you're waiting at home for that all-clear signal, if the Lord puts it on your heart to just call someone to let them know that you were thinking about them, please do follow through. God bless you.